I literally just got divorced. I'm done. I don't ever have to see him again. That was so hard. That was so painful. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't say hi. I couldn't say bye. I just walked away. The person that I loved the most in this entire world. The person I loved most in this entire world, you know? That was it.
Guys, imagine being the man in this situation, okay? Every single day, every single week of the year, there are men who are getting divorced because their wives thought, hey, I can do better. I can get his money. I can get alimony. Women are out here initiating 70 to 90% of the divorces, guys. And a lot of them, you know, they cry in their cars and they make TikTok videos about it. But women are the ones who are benefiting from these situations, and they like to paint themselves as the victim. But what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again. And on today's episode, I have a few ridiculous video clips for you here today. We are going to be returning to that woman who got divorced soon. But we are going to be kicking off today's episode with this woman right here, who is 42 years of age, I believe. And she has returned to the dating market, guys. That is true. Yet another woman has been claimed by the streets. These videos are very sobering, guys. I have seen so many at this point in time. But it's just so ridiculous to continuously see, how common this crap is of women being unable to hold relationships together because they think that they can do better. And the men are the ones who end up suffering and having to pay these women money. It's absolutely disgusting. So we are going to be covering a few of these here today, guys, and we will be trying to translate the womanese. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments, and let's jump in.
I am 42 years old. I am single. Again. It's okay. If you were watching this, maybe you were too. Or maybe you feel like you have started your life over so many times, and it can feel really discouraging.
So just by the way, let's get something out of the way right off the bat, guys. When women say that they are starting their life over and over again, I just want to make it clear that oftentimes the women are the ones who are choosing to do this, okay? They are choosing to leave their boyfriends. They are choosing to leave their husbands because they think that the grass is greener on the other side. And also, because I'm just going to be frank about it, man, a lot of these girls just are absolutely terrible at choosing men, right? The good men who would actually take care of them, provide for them, have a family with them, love them, want something long-term, will be loyal and won't cheat on them. These guys are too boring for them, right? Or he's not tall enough or not attractive enough. And so you get women who, even at 42 years of age, guys, still just can't seem to find a good man. It's ridiculous, okay? And she calls it discouraging, but again, they're actively doing this to themselves.
For so many times, and it can feel really discouraging. But it's important to know that your life is a story, and you write all these chapters. It's not a new book every time. It's a new chapter that's building off of the one before. And you have to think of it in that way. Is this the...
I don't know about you guys, but I have never once, I don't think, thought about my life as a book or a series of events in my life as a chapter. This is something that modern women do that just makes absolutely no sense to me, is they think that their life is some sort of fairy tale book thing. Okay, they don't actually have any logical goals or steps, typically, other than, you know, hook up with a successful man. That way you can get him to pay for the house, right? There's no real, actual, tangible, you know, elements of reality in it. It's just, hey, your life is a story. It's about writing a chapter. Like, what the hell are we talking about here, man? Okay, bring it back to reality for a moment. Your life is not a fairy tale. It is not some story where you write chapters, okay? It just is. These girls like to get all really vague very quickly. And it just goes to show you why these women end up getting divorces, because you could have a situation, right, where a woman divorces her husband because, because she felt like it, right, essentially. But then all of a sudden, her version of the events is something to do with stories and writing chapters and books and about how their life paths differentiated. Like, shut up. You left him because you were bored. You left him because you thought you could do better. They just like to avoid accountability by using all of this nonsensical language designed to confuse men and make people think that they're the victim.
Before, and you have to think of it in that way. Is this the story that I visioned for myself? Is this a story that I would want to read? Is this a story that I would want for someone that I love? Or
this is such a weird metric to envision your life, guys. Like, oh, do I want to read the story of my life? Like, what the hell is this? I'm not trying to write a book about my life, man. A lot of people are just trying to get through the day. They're trying to do what is necessary to move on. But these women are out here like, yeah, I need to design my life in a way that it needs to be read. Like, what the hell?
That I would want to read. Is this a story that I would want for someone that I love? Or is this just a book with a few weird chapters because I got stuck on them and I couldn't keep writing? Life got a little weird for me for a while, and about, I don't know, a week and a half ago, I decided to come to Bali and do my 200-hour yoga teacher training. I made the decision 3 or 4 days before I came.
Oh, yes, guys. Nothing quite says good life decisions like making big financial and time commitments 3 to 4 days prior. Am I right? But hey, at least it will make for a good story. Yeah, I see why these women are single, by the way. Incredibly impulsive, can't be clear, can't live in reality, no ability to communicate or take any accountability whatsoever. So let's just put this in perspective for a second here. So this is what the situation seems like to be. Now, I'm hoping that I'm wrong in this. I'm really hoping that I'm wrong. So here's what I think happened. This woman broke up with her man because of any number of reasons. Maybe he was boring, didn't make enough money, thought that she could do better, whatever the case may be. She decides to break up with him, instantly go to Bali to get some traveling in. And she's like, hey, I have to make this travel look like I'm not just going here to hook up with random dudes and party. So I'm completing a yoga teacher training, which as far as I know, these things are super expensive, I would imagine. I could be wrong on that, but, she's going to do she's becoming a yoga teacher now, right? This is like the same thing, guys. It's essentially the same thing as those wives who divorce their husbands, or girls who leave their very long relationships and then they end up going to like Europe and crap like this. They're just going there so that they can hook up with a bunch of dudes or find another guy, or party it up. This is essentially what this woman is doing. Left the relationship in all probability and then immediately goes traveling to where she can go hook up with a bunch of random dudes. But don't worry, guys, it is technically a business trip because now she's decided to become a yoga teacher. Like, all right, mate.
Yoga teacher training. I made the decision 3 or 4 days before I came. And again, I got in a weird place and I did not want to get stuck on that chapter.
Right, so he hooked up with some random dude in Bali, and then he didn't want to commit to you, so you didn't want to get stuck on that quote-unquote chapter. You notice how we speak in riddles here, guys? Right, what essentially happened was she traveled here, hooked up with some random dude, and then this guy didn't want a relationship with her, obviously, because he's just hooking up with women in Bali, but she doesn't want to get stuck on that chapter, guys. The book must go on. She must continue to fill the pages with random dudes.
I reached out to friends and family, and I had a tremendous amount of support to do this. I'm very lucky in that way. Not everybody is, but if you are, talk about your things, talk about what you need, and accept help. And think about it in the way that if those people needed you, you would be there for them too.
Okay, so just by the way, you're not lucky. You're just a typical modern woman. Of course, when women go through these terrible experiences of being rejected by some dude in Bali, their friends and family are going to be the shoulders to cry on, right? You're always going to be surrounded by people as a woman who are willing to support you. This is not called realistically being lucky. Most modern women, in fact, have the capability of doing this unless they are disfigured. but everybody will be there to support them and to look after them, even though they're out here just smashing dudes. And apparently that's worthy of empathy. I don't know, guys. Like, the more I see of these videos, it just makes me understand how many people just put their empathy into people who don't deserve it, to be honest, right? It's like every single time you see these videos, it's women are trying to convince you to give them empathy for situations that do not deserve empathy whatsoever. Oftentimes they're out here disrespecting their man, you know, they get kicked out of the house or they leave and so on, but don't worry, they're the victims in this situation. Completely damn ridiculous. And don't worry, guys, accept the help from those people around you. I love the contrast between this, between men and women, right? Men will typically get no support, no assistance whatsoever. Nobody particularly gives a damn. But women's advice is like, yeah, just accept just accept all of the help that you're receiving, you know?
That if those people needed you, you would be there for them too. So take it and appreciate it and make the best out of it. Don't waste 1 minute of your time when you're actually trying to make something happen for yourself.
Yeah, okay, so translation. Don't get caught up on the bad boys when you're trying to get your retirement in order by locking down a simp. You know, that's really what it comes down to, guys. I'm going to play this back because it's so sneaky. Look at this. Don't waste 1 minute of your time, okay, when you're actually trying to make something happen for yourself. Translation here is, hey, you're getting older as a woman, right? You won't have looks on your side forever. You have nothing else to offer men, so you really need to capitalize on the looks that you do still have remaining, right? But what you need to do is you need to not waste any time with men who don't want to commit to you, and you need to find some dude who's going to be your retirement. That's really what this is about, guys. Oftentimes, men are not, you know, these women are not with men in long-term relationships usually because they actually love the men or because they're attracted to the guy. Usually, they actually have no respect for the dudes. They will treat them like trash. They refuse to do anything nice for the man whatsoever. The man's expected to provide for everything because that's apparently just men's job for modern women. And they just get with these guys because they need a retirement plan. That's really what it comes down to. And the government facilitates this. The government facilitates women stealing from men. But yeah, when you're actually trying to make something happen for yourself, okay.
Actually trying to make something happen for yourself. And I will admit, I am pretty homesick. I'm at the end of week 1. It's been amazing. It is amazing. But I know that this homesickness is going to be temporary. And in 2 weeks, I will be back home. And I am going to be a bomb-ass yoga teacher because I am learning how to do that intensely every day.
I don't know, guys. Is yoga that intensive? I don't know. These, like, yeah, guys, she's learning intensely how to be a yoga teacher. I mean, I think she's just in Bali hooking up with dudes, and she needs to do this to make it look as though she's actually doing something productive, by the way. You know, I'm assuming that yoga classes actually cost an absolute ton, by the way. This just reeks of something that women get scammed by because they'll do anything other than actually try and take their health seriously and just do something like cardio or actually do anything difficult in the gym. A lot of them will just, they like to do yoga and Pilates and crap like this. I mean, than actually put in any genuine real effort. Now, I've probably just triggered the hell out of a lot of people who do, who do yoga. But I don't know, man. Just, you know, learning to become a yoga teacher at 42 years of age while hooking up with bad boys in Bali. I don't know about that particular strategy, but hey, guys, let's hope she becomes successful and she can actually fund her own damn retirement here.
I'm going to be a bomb-ass yoga teacher because I am learning how to do that intensely every day. And in terms of relationships, it's the same thing.
Is it?
Take what you have learned from that other relationship and build off of it. Take the new love that you have found within yourself and other people and carry it forward. You now know more about what you want and what you don't want.
You know, this reminds me, guys, actually of a little something. This is a flowchart I whipped up recently. This actually reminds me of this flowchart that I made, guys. And as you can see, this is what I call the the Women's Healing Journey Starter Kit. Okay, so what she did was you start at step 1, you smash a bunch of dudes and you fail to get commitment. You do this until you're running out of time to have kids, or you accidentally have a kid with Chad, or you're sufficiently sad and lonely. And then we move on to this step, which is what this woman is describing here, where you go through a healing phase where you expect more from dudes. And see this bold part, guys? This is where usually the TikTok women are, right? You need to really get clear on your self-love, aka narcissism, and you need to get really clear on what you demand from men now. Okay, so now that you've gone out there and you've smashed a bunch of dudes in different countries and states and things like this, and you've done your healing journey, perhaps you've learned how to become a yoga teacher even, right? Now you're ready to go through your healing journey and move on to step number 4 here, which is collecting a simp. Now, interestingly enough, guys, I think that these women should be straight up disqualified from giving dating advice if you're a woman and you're 42 years of age and single. Like the sheer amount of options that you have to fail and go through with as a woman to end up 42 years of age and single, it boggles the mind, guys. It really does. I've said this many times, dating, not a difficult thing for modern women. So if you are here 42 years of age and now you're returning to the streets for I don't even know how many times in a row, I think that personally disqualifies you from giving dating and relationship advice. Now, I want to keep stipulating this, by the way. This is why I don't hold men to the same standard, and I'll tell you why. Typically because men are not the ones leaving the relationships. Usually it's the women who are ditching them, divorcing them, trading them in for other men because they think that they can do better. That's number one why I don't hold men to the same standards. If some dude is 42 years of age and he's single and he's giving dating advice, I'm not necessarily going to hold that against him. And also, I don't think things like marriage, especially these days, necessarily benefit men. Hell, even long-term relationships oftentimes are a scam for dudes. So, I don't really hold that as though it's some. I mean, it is a great achievement if you're in a marriage for like 15 years. Congratulations to you. But I don't hold it against men for not being in these things when, one, women actively ruin them, and two, it doesn't actually benefit men to be in these things in the first place. But 42-year-old woman, guys, giving dating advice, oh, hell no, man. Oh, hell no.
Take the things from that other relationship, the things that you like in that person, and now you know what to look for in somebody else.
Right, so take the attributes from Chad and then insist that any man going forward has those attributes, right? So he's tall, so you're not going to settle for anything less than a tall man going forward. He owns a nice car, so now you're not going to settle for anything less than a guy who has a nice car. You see how this works, guys? Smash the dudes and carry forward entitlement about what future men have to bring to the relationship.
Things that you don't really appreciate in that person, and now you know to stay away from it, right? And it just gets closer and closer to being with somebody that, hopefully you can be with forever. And sometimes that takes time. Divorce rates are high, and I think it's because people just are like, oh, this is fine, I'll settle. And then they make a million allowances.
Yeah, so the reason why divorce rates are so high is because the government rewards women for destroying marriages. Women are oftentimes also, you see, they think that they're settling, by the way. This is you know what, guys? I even put this in the damn chart, didn't I? I'm actually going to pull this up, right? This was step number 4. This woman is describing this spot on. Check this out. Part number 4 here. Find and marry / have a relationship with a simp who provides you with everything who you are not attracted to. Make sure, here's what she's describing. Make sure to consider this settling because he's not as attractive as the dudes that you smashed earlier. You see, these women, they think that they're actually getting closer and closer to their Prince Charming. But what's essentially happening is they're actually getting further and further away from reality, right? Because they're what they think that they deserve and what they actually do deserve are two completely different things. They end up 42 years of age, guys. And any dude who will actually have a relationship with her is apparently settling. She thinks that she's settling. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
It should be incredibly tight on who you're supposed to be with in terms of a soulmate. I think we have many of them, but there's a lot of people in this world. So it's going to take a minute to find that person.
I'm actually going to play this back because this is so incredibly stupid. Okay, guys, you've got to really, really, listen to what this woman says here, guys, because this is such highly concentrated levels of stupidity.
Like, oh, this is fine, I'll settle. And then they make a million allowances. It should be incredibly tight on who you're supposed to be with in terms of a soulmate.
Okay, so check this out, right? When you're looking for your soulmate, get this, your soulmate has to meet all of these criteria. Okay, so he has to be attractive, he has to provide for you, he has to take care of you. This soulmate of yours, guys, it's interesting because people like to sell this idea of soulmate like, oh, it's just the one, you just know when you know. But really, soulmates for women consist of a bunch of requirements, right? It's not like, oh, wow, guys, she just found a man to love and it was so pure and just random that they found each other in this crazy universe. It's like, no, she found his wallet. She found that the dude was willing to provide for her. And so she thought she could get a retirement plan. Women have, they like to sell this whole soulmate myth thing, man, but they're actually very, very considerate of the dudes that they have things like marriage with, right? They're doing it for a particular reason. This is not some luck thing. This is not some esoteric divine experience where people are finding their soulmates these days, guys. Women are actively preying on the dudes who they know that they can steal from, and they are calling these dudes soulmates. The soulmate has all of these requirements of the things that he has to do. But that bad boy that she smashed in Bali, guys, he just hooked up with her for nothing, essentially, but you have to pay all of her bills. Like, it's so stupid.
Who you're supposed to be with in terms of a soulmate. I think we have many of them, but there's a lot of people in this world, so it's going to take a minute to find that person. So be particular, and in the meantime, you just keep writing your book.
Yeah, so keep smashing random dudes while you're looking for your soulmate.
And write it in a way that you would want your grandkids to read it and be like, whoa, my grandmother was fierce.
Who the hell wants a fierce grandmother, by the way? Like, what is this advice, guys? What is this kind of advice that 42-year-old women are giving to other women? Like, again, these are the role models. This is what women see when they look for dating advice and things like this on TikTok. And as much as I don't like the TikTok platform, it is actually incredibly popular, guys. Like, this is where young women are going to get their dating advice. Hell, even older women are going here. And, the first thing they see is about how men are narcissists and you need to write your book by going to Bali and becoming a yoga teacher and smashing a bunch of dudes and, being very particular about your soulmate. Absolutely crazy. But let's jump into the clip that we played at the beginning of today's episode. Now, this is a woman who's in tears. She's crying because she divorced her husband, it seems. So let's see what the situation is here. Just by the way, before we jump into this, you can always really get a good glimpse of the situation by actually seeing if the woman says anything about her husband insofar as did he cheat or were the police called? Because a lot of the times the women like to pretend like they are the victims and the man is a bad guy, but she'll always throw around statements that she can't prove. Because I guarantee you, if the dude cheated on her, this would be one of the first things that she said. Let's jump in.
I literally just got divorced. I'm done. I don't ever have to see him again. That was so hard. That was so painful. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't say hi. I couldn't say bye. I just walked away. The person that I loved the most in this entire world. The person I loved most in this entire world,
Loved this guy the most in the entire world, but you know what, guys? I still divorced his ass. Now, see, how long are we into this clip? Let me just check. So we started it here. We're like 30 seconds in, and she's crying and talking about how she got a divorce and she loved this guy and blah, blah, blah. See, the thing is, guys, I think, again, if the dude cheated or if he was a terrible man, like actually terrible, provably, like the cops were called or something like this, you would hear about this very early on in the clips. but you don't actually hear this. So usually what it actually means is she divorced him because she thought she could do better, whether that be financially or in terms of getting a new man. And what so many of these women realize is that they've actually just screwed themselves over, because in a lot of these situations, you know, sometimes the women don't get the money. Sometimes that next guy doesn't want to commit to her. And so they end up making a really stupid decision, but it's also really good to laugh at. Let's keep going.
That was it. That's how the story ends. I loved him with everything that I was. And now it's done. Oh God, I'm fucking broken, man. I fucking hurt. I kept it together until the end. But I did that shit. I did that alone. I got divorced alone. I did it myself. I did all the work. I did all the research. Oh, I can't stop crying. Oh my God. I did all the research. I did all the work. I did all the paperwork. I did all the legal documents.
Of course you did. This is what 70 to 90% of modern women are doing these days when they are in these marriages, when a divorce goes through, right? Oftentimes it is the women who are getting the divorce. Yes, they're the ones serving the papers. Why? Because they stand to benefit from it. Why? Because they typically think that the grass is greener on the other side. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have never been through a highly distressing point in my life and thought to myself, hey, this is a good idea to whip out my phone camera and record myself while driving. It's so insane, guys, how this is just like behavior that a lot of people on TikTok do. They go through these life situations or these things that are incredibly disruptive to themselves, and then they just think it's like the ideal time to pull out a phone camera and start recording themselves crying. It is so damn stupid, man. So stupid. And I immediately lose any empathy for the people who go out here and do this. Like, I don't immediately assume that this woman is the sane one in the situation. You see what I'm saying? My initial inclination is whoever is recording the TikTok video of themselves crying in the car and posting it online publicly is probably the one who's in the wrong. You see what I'm saying? And quite honestly, usually it's the women. Usually the women are the ones who are recording these TikTok videos.
I did all the work. I did all the paperwork. I did all the legal documents. I fucking did it. He was there. When I arrived, like, he was there early, so I had to like walk up to him. He said hi, and just in the like most shameful tone. I was shaking for a while, and then eventually like calmed down. And I calmed down because he was the person that I felt safest with.
Ah, yes, guys. So the guy she felt safe around, he calmed her down, and then of course she serves him with the divorce papers. Yeah, I love this situation, by the way, because oftentimes what's happening here is the men are like good men. You know, they're good guys. They love their girlfriends. Excuse me, they love their wives. But apparently, being a good man, loving your wife, not really good enough for a lot of modern women these days, guys. You're still going to get served with the divorce papers.
I don't know, my brain, I guess that was like a coping mechanism, I don't know. But I stopped shaking, and then we signed all the paperwork and went in, and it was relatively fast. I mean, there were a few things that we were missing, like name and address for, so we filled that out together. We like stepped aside and filled it out together, and then we went back to the window and gave them all the documents. At our there's an ambulance. And I stayed strong. I stayed strong the entire time.
No, you didn't. The dude had to comfort you because you were crying and shaking the whole time. Like, guys, why would dudes voluntarily sign up for this? I have absolutely no idea. You know, and she's going to be back out here. She's going to be on the streets, probably in no time, claiming that the dude was a bad man. But again, why did she do this? Why did she initiate the divorce? Well, it's simple, because she felt like it, and because the government incentivizes women to do this. That's really what it comes down to, guys. Women are leaving these marriages, they're leaving these long-term relationships with cash and prizes, and it's a complete and utter scam.
Oh man, I almost crashed. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, maybe you would be less likely to crash, by the way, if you stopped recording yourself on TikTok, but hey, what do I know?
But I'm gonna go to the pier. I'm just gonna sit at the beach and take a few deep breaths. That was so hard and sad.
So let's take a look at the situation here, guys. The situation was so difficult. It was so sad. She loved this man with all of her heart, and yet she still divorced his ass. She still served him with the divorce papers. I mean, if this isn't a lesson to men, I really don't know what is. I think a lot of these women are not deserving of commitment whatsoever. They're not deserving of having a man in their life, because even when the dude is a great guy, oftentimes they still disrespect him, they still leave his ass, and they still try and take his things. It's completely ridiculous. Guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your own thoughts and comments. As always, guys, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.